This year on television, we had the normal amount of sports thrills, football games that were decided in the last moments of play, a baseball season that, though shortened due to the frustrating and somewhat silly strike we had, still managed to bring us to our feet when the Dodgers came back from 2 games down to win the World Series. And a burgeoning amount of sports activity on television was due primarily to the growth of the ESPN and USA networks, both cable operations with a great deal of emphasis on major sporting events. But if we were to focus in on one sports figure who had us all talking, and not all in unison, it would have to be young John McEnroe, who startled us a bit and shocked all of England with his on-court play and some other court activity that wasn't played during this year's Wimbledon matches in London.
Mr. McEnroe, first penalty point, unsportsmanlike conduct. Mr. McEnroe, game to Crawley.
He's taken a point away from John McEnroe at 40-30 and awarded the game to Rod Frawley.
I wasn't talking to you, umpire. Do you hear me?
I heard you, Mr.
I was talking to myself. Am I allowed to talk to myself and say that? I didn't say umpire. I said disgrace to mankind to myself. I'd like the referee brought out, please, before you call the score. Before the score is called, I'd like the referee brought out. I said to myself, what did I say? What did I say, umpire? Tell me. Please tell me. Please tell me.
All in all, though it was billed as tennis' finest moment, it had a little bit of what we hoped we'd find and didn't in the year's biggest boxing match, Hearns versus Leonard. Well, sports fans, maybe next year we can look forward to the first McEnroe-Hearns match.
Like most of us who worked in television in its and our early years, James Coburn came to know what it was like to work under the pressure of live shows like Studio One, GE Theater, and Robert Montgomery Presents. He has watched the melding of television and film arts, and it is our good fortune that television has shared some of his brightest moments as an actor. We're pleased to welcome him to the TV Guide special to help tell us about this year's movies on television. Ladies and gentlemen, James Coburn.
Television and motion pictures haven't always been friends. In the beginning, the studios fought television tooth and nail, fearful that the small screen might somehow sound the death knell for the big one. Then as television drastically cut into the theater admissions in the 1950s, the studios were forced to sell their films to television to survive. Now tonight, we take a look at 2 barometers of judgment for the 1981's televised film fair by comparing TV Guide critic Judith Crist's superb list of her favorites with those movies that hit the top of the ratings between January and December. Now, you and Judith both agree that movies that dealt with contemporary themes were among your favorites. Her list included the powerful film based on the event that brought us into the 70s with shocking intensity.
I want to tell you something about me. It's not really about me. It's about you. I don't understand you. I've tried, and I can't understand you. And I don't hate you. I pity you. Not for what you are, but for what you'll never be.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to tell you something very interesting about me. It's really about you. I'll never forget a face.
Another story of survival and victory over seemingly impossible odds was the Patricia Neal story, which Judith called a brilliantly dramatized true story, an exhilarating one with dedication, love, and the triumph of the will over physical disability.
Can't kill myself.
That's the only thing that's stopping you. Your problems are solved. Go down to the kitchen. Lots of sharp knives there. They do you up fine. My razor blades. Go and use my razor blades. No! Or let's go into the garage. Why don't you go to the garage, shut the bloody doors, lock yourself in there, turn on the engine of the car. There's nothing to it. Nothing.
I can't stand it. It's too much. Evil, evil, evil. Why didn't you let me die?
And then this story of the still echoing waves of Nazi persecution and its today's counterpart, Skokie, which featured a universally acclaimed performance by Danny Kaye in his first leading television dramatic role.
You know what this is? A tattoo. A number. 24, 36. It's a concentration camp number. Do you know what that meant? Can you know what really happened? Can you know what the swastika was? Can you know what is a Nazi?
Mr. Feldman, I understand. Believe me, there is no way of minimizing or arguing with the personal pain, the tragedy and suffering of people who've come through the Holocaust. I am trying to recommend a practical, proven tactic for today's realities.
No. I came here to sit, to listen, not to say anything. But I don't want to hear about tactics and strategies. This is not a game. I will not go home. I will not pull down the window shades. Not this time. Not in my own town, where I made a business and a home, where I raised my child. If a Nazi marches here in Skokie, you can believe me, I will be there. I will be there with baseball bats, with a gun, with anything. I will be in Skokie with the Nazi command.
Among Judith's other choices include the excellent Robert Blake remake of Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men, and Mickey Rooney's brilliant portrayal of Bill, as well as the two-parter Sophisticated Gents. In any case, it was a good year for movies on television, and that marriage between the two forms continues to look healthy, creative, and successful.
After a show has been on the air a certain length of time, we begin to feel so comfortable with its characters that we really look forward to that weekly visit with them. But remember, they are only actors playing roles. And to meet them as people can sometimes be a bit unnerving, especially when you meet them as I did on the set and in the wardrobe of the series Taxi. But as you see, we learned some fascinating things about what keeps Taxi's meter running. Watch. Is there any significance to these cards you've picked out here?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out who was who in the show. Anyway, it's what the other people would maybe think of themselves, okay?
Oh, I see.
I think maybe that would be it.
Who thinks of himself as the king of the group?
I think Louis De Palma thinks of himself as the king. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
I think people enjoy the fact that Louis' character, Louis, is so repulsive, offensive, kind of a worm, you know, anything to get his way.
Who else in this cab company would offer the maturity, the character, and poise required to be a real confidant? You pick me or your butt's fired out of here.
Jack, I think, you know, as I say, that's going to have to be Tony because it's, well, he looks a little like him, actually.
Banter's like the nicest guy in the world, you know? I mean, he never talked back to his mother. You know, come on now. You know, I mean, he's just a real, you know, he's a little basic. I wouldn't say he's dumb, but he just sees everything at face value.
I'm in a tough spot. I really like Elaine.
You son of a gun.
Tony, the problem is I like somebody else, too.
Oh, somebody else? Oh, man, that's a problem.
You remember the night I came up to you two at the bar, I said, are you two together?
Yeah, I told you we weren't.
Well, she wasn't the one I was after, Tony.